What's going on, guys? Today I'm here to bring you another one of my 2014 WCQ H.A.T format deck profiles. The deck I want to show off today is Herald of Perfection Spirits, or Herald Spirits. I know a lot of people really enjoy Herald of Perfection as a whole, and in H.A.T format, being able to play it with the Spirit cards is really cool. Though the deck isn't the most competitive, it definitely can take games off some of the top decks if piloted correctly, and again, it's just a really cool deck. I know personally I really enjoy the Spirit monsters, and Herald is a really great boss monster that takes advantage of the Spirits really well, since most of the time the Herald deck doesn't really need its normal summon too much, and so you kind of just want to turbo into this card. But anyways, guys, we'll talk more about it as we get into this deck profile, so without further ado, let's get straight into it. So starting off with the monsters, we are obviously playing our 3 copies of Herald of Perfection. This is your boss monster. While it doesn't have the most attack, it does have 2800 defense, which is very hard for a lot of decks to get over. It can be ritual summoned using its own ritual spell card, which is Dawn of the Herald, but you can also cheat this out with advanced ritual art, which we'll talk about both of those ritual spells later on in this video, and it has the effect that when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, or a monster effect, you're able to discard a fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard and negate the activation, and if you do destroy it, that's not a once per turn effect either, so as long as you have fairies to discard, you can keep negating and destroying your opponent's cards. Now keep in mind for the spell and trap cards, it does negate when a spell or trap card is activated, so not the effects of them, and by what I mean by that is, for example, if your opponent has a breakthrough skill in graveyard, you aren't able to negate that, but say your opponent activates a breakthrough skill on field, then you are able to negate that. So just keep that in mind, and how I said you're trying to get into this as quickly as possible, one of the cards that we play to facilitate that is going to be your copies of Manju of 10,000 Hands, and this card on normal summon is going to allow you to add a ritual monster or ritual spell card from your deck to your hand, which is really good. I guess I should also mention it's when it's normal or flip summoned you're able to add, so just a really strong card, and even once you've already got into your copies of Herald, it is a fairy monster, so you can always discard them for negates as well, so even if you see multiple, it's not bad at all. After that, let's get into the Spirit monsters. Now, real quickly, the Spirits all have kind of the same thing, where they can't be special summoned. For the most part, there is one exception, and then during the end phase of the turn that they are normal or flip summoned, for the most part, again, they return to the hand, and so the first one we're playing is our copies of Aritama. While this one isn't a fairy monster, it is a Spirit monster, and it's really important because this one says that when this card is normal summoned or flip face up, you can add a Spirit monster from your deck to your hand. So this is your searcher, so really strong card, and what you're usually adding is one of your copies of Nikitama. Again, similarly, during the end phase, it's going to return to your hand if it was normal or flipped face up, and then also that it can't be special summon. When this card is normal or flipped face up, you can additional summon a Spirit monster during this turn, so that is very strong. And then the secondary effect is also really good, that says when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can draw a card, but you only gain that if you have a Spirit monster on the field when this effect is activated and resolves. So usually what you're doing is going to have something like an Aritama, and then, or I guess summon Nikitama, go for Aritama, and then if, say, this leaves the field somehow, then you're able to go and get a draw, or if, say, you have your Herald of Perfection on field, you normal summon Aritama, attempt to use an effect, and your opponent goes to negate it or something. If you have the Nikitama in hand, you can get rid of this because it is a fairy monster, negate your opponent's card and destroy it, negate the activation and destroy it, and then because you have the Aritama on board, you will get a draw off of this, so really strong card there. After that, we play 2 copies of Izanami. This is another one of your fairies, and this one is really good, again, with your Nikitama, and the reason is because this one, similar to the others, it has the can't be special summon clause, it returns to the hand and stuff, and this one says when this card is normal summoned or flip face up, you can discard a card and add a spirit monster from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a way to basically get back whatever spirit engrave that you need, but how I said this works really well with Nikitama is if you have, say, a Nikitama in graveyard already, and you have one in hand as well, you can normal this, discard the Nikitama, add back the other Nikitama to hand, and then the Nikitama will trigger because you have a spirit, and you'll get a draw. Or you can add, say you can add back your copy of Aritama, and then on your next turn, you have a way to search more of your copies of your spirit monsters. Just overall, a very good card. After that, 1 copy of Yaksha, similar type effects for the first half, and then when this card is normal summoned or flip face up, you can target a spell or trap card your opponent controls, return that target to the hand. So this is a way to kind of bait your opponent's back row, as well as it has 1900 attack, which is pretty solid for a normal summon, and just in general, this pairs really well with a handful of other cards. For example, I will say we do play Forbidden Lance, so what you're able to do is normal summon this, and if, say, your opponent has skill drain, you can always activate this, target their skill drain, and then chain the lance, so this will become unaffected. You're able to bounce back the opponent's copy of skill drain, and then if you're able to stick a Herald when they go to activate it again, you can just negate it. So really good. I'd almost consider playing an extra copy of this, but I am, as of right now, also playing 1 copy of Ratetsu. This card has honestly been okay. I would definitely say that this can be cut, and the reason is this one has the effect when it's normal summoned. You're able to reveal a spirit monster in your hand and target a face-up attack position monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So that's pretty good against opponents, say, like 101s or something like that, or even just being able to, say, summon this while you have a Herald on board, and then, use the effect your opponent, if they have, like, a Felgrand, they're going to try to, say, maybe negate that, and then you can bait it with the Herald, or there's a bunch of other different scenarios where that card can be relevant. 101 is like the big example, just getting the materials off of it and stuff, but the downside is you can't special summon during the turn you use that effect, so that kind of is a bit rough, and so that's why I say you could maybe even just side this and maybe play like an extra spell card in the deck, or even, again, another copy of Yaksha, but right now it's been like okay for me. And then the last spirit monster I'm playing is 1 copy of Yamato no Kami. And now this is the reason that I was saying that for the most part you can't special summon them. This one can be special summoned. It says this card cannot be normal summoned or set. This card cannot be special summoned except by removing from play a spirit monster from your graveyard. So that is relevant, being able to have a special summon. And then it says if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can destroy 1 spell or trap your opponent controls, so that's also decent. The other nice thing about this is it is a level 6, and you'll see for the actual Herald, Dawn of Herald's ritual spell, you do have to tribute monsters from your hand or field that are level 6 exact, so having something like your copy of Aritama and being able to search this when you have Dawn in hand is actually really good too, as well as there are times where you might have to make a rank 6 Xyz, which I do play 1 of, and so it is a 6 for that reason as well. So also just a really good toolboxy card. After that, we do play a couple other monsters. We play 2 copies of Herald of Orange Light. You're able to, when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand and 1 other fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do destroy it, this, while you might not think it's relevant because you have Herald of Perfection, sometimes getting into your Herald is the tough part, and so this a lot of times will ensure that you can get to it, as well as being a level 2 tuner, which very rarely comes up, but it can come up. After that, 1 copy of Christia. A lot of people overhype this if they've came from, say, Edison format. This card isn't quite as good as it is in Edison. It's a lot less likely to come up, but even then, like, it definitely has its place to be a very strong card, but I don't think it's necessarily needed in multiples. You could technically, drop the copy of, what was that one card? The Ratetsu, and play another one of these if you wanted to, but I think 1 is honestly completely fine. After that, 1 copy of Honest, just because it's a great card. And then for our vanilla monsters, for our advanced ritual arts that we'll talk about in a second, I am choosing to play 2 copies of Gyaku Tenu Magami. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but this is just a level 6 fairy light monster, so that it will be important for your advanced ritual arts. Next up, for the spells, 2 copies of advanced ritual art. This card is really, really good. You're able to summon a ritual monster from your hand by sending a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard whose levels equal exactly the level of that monster. So obviously the Magami, or Magami, however you pronounce it, is a level 6. So you activate this when you have the Herald in hand, and then you're able to send the Magami and summon it basically for free almost. So really, really good card there. And after that, we are still choosing to play 1 copy of Dawn of the Herald. This card does have a good place in the deck from time to time, and it says this card is used to ritual summon Herald of Perfection. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal exactly 6. And then when Herald of Perfection is ritual summoned by this effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard, target 1 of the monsters in your graveyard that was tributed for the ritual summon, return that target to your hand. So basically, if you do end up using this for Herald, you're able to already have 1 negate on board right away. So very strong. Now, next up, again, we are trying to get into Herald as quickly as possible. So we are playing 3 copies of Upstart Goblin. I want to get Herald on field turn 1, and that's why I'm choosing not to play Pot of Duality. Similarly, you could play Max C, but I think for the consistency's sake, I would rather side Max C, and so as a result, Upstart is the perfect inclusion, as well as we are playing 3 copies of Preparation of Rites, being able to get that Herald to hand, and then add back a ritual spell that's in graveyard if need be is really, really good. After that, 3 copies of Forbidden Lance. Again, a lot of times you do need your monster effects to go through before you get into your copies of Herald, as well as sometimes if you only have a few different fairies in hand, sometimes using Lance to just blanket and force your opponent to activate everything right away. This is just really good because if not, it's, your Herald's going to be unaffected by spell and traps. So just a great card. Also, because the Herald of Perfection has really low attack, having 1800, if you don't have any fairies and your opponent, like say this is in defense position, and your opponent goes for something like a Black Ship of Corn, a lot of times what you can do is Lance the Black Ship of Corn, and then it'll have less attack than the Herald, and therefore protecting the Herald for 1 more turn at minimum. So this card has been really, really good for me. After that, and also, again, what I said with Yaksha into things like skill drain and stuff like that, this card is just MVP. After that, I am choosing to play 1 copy of Creature Swap. I've tested more of this, but it feels way too situational. I want to have the 1 copy, but I don't want to have too many that it feels dead all the time. But being able to give your opponent a spirit, take their monster, and then the spirit returns to your hand in the end phase is really, really nice. You could technically go and play another if you really wanted to. 1 copy of Soul Charge. While most of your spirit monsters can't be special summoned, you can, however, make some cool plays by, for example, bringing back your Magami, or bringing back your Herald that was properly summoned, or even bringing back, say, your Manjus and stuff. So I am choosing to play 1 of that, and then the other last spell I'm playing is 1 copy of Foolish. Foolish definitely has a cool place in the deck, given, again, it works really well with Nikitama. Say you summon like an Aritama or any other spirit for that matter, and then you can Foolish the copy of Nikitama and get a draw, therefore you kind of deck thinned. There's a couple different other scenarios as well. For example, if you need a specific card and you have your Izanami, then you can say dump whatever you might need that is a spirit monster, summon your Izanami, discard one, and get it back, so that's nice too. And the last traps I'm playing are going to be 2 copies of Royal Decree. Just having this with Herald of Perfection is really, really strong, and in some decks you could play something like, what's it called, Safe Zone, but I feel that that's just kind of not the best card in this deck, and I'd rather just blank all traps. I don't play 3, you definitely could play 3, but I think once you see the first one when you have Herald online, then the rest kind of just become dead cards, so I think 2 is the perfect number. In terms of the extra deck, we play 1 copy of... This is the only rank 6 I'm playing, and I think it just kind of is the best overall. You could, in theory, play something like a Photon Strike Bouncer, which I've messed around with, and it's not bad at all, but I feel the rank 6s don't really come up too often, but you definitely could play another if you want. After that, just a bunch of rank 4s, 1 Karen Gorgon, which again is just a great card when you have Herald up, your opponent tries to, say, target your Herald with a breakthrough skill or something, you can just change the targeting. 1 Ragnazero, 1 Black Ship of Corn, 1 101, 1 Heartland Draco to kind of steal games, especially protected with your Herald of Perfection. 1 copy of Direwolf, 1 Fairy Cheer Girl. This card needs 2 level 4 fairy monsters. You're able to detach a material from it and draw a card, so that's kind of just a fun card that this deck can play. 1 copy of Exciton, 1 Lavaval Chain, 1 copy of Daigusto Emerald. Besides putting back resources, you can use the other effect to bring back your Megami from graveyard, and then, you know, potentially normal summon your Herald of Orange Light and make a level 8 Synchro, or, you know, summon one of your 6s and go into your M7. 1 copy of Dweller, 1 copy of Cowboy, 1 Rhapsody and Berserk, and I'm only playing 1 Synchro, and that is 1 copy of Stardust Spark Dragon. Really good to be able to protect your Herald, really good to protect your Royal Decree. Depending, I would also say you could maybe also play another Synchro, whether that's like a level 6 or another level 8. It's really up to you. Overall, I just wanted to give you kind of a baseline of something to work with, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and anyways guys, I will see you in the next video.